Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 28 of The Cosmic Force. I am one of your hosts, Tyler Riganti, and tonight we have a very special Halloween-themed episode for you. First, the gang is all back together, and we have some special cosplaying to go with it. And our main topic tonight, we're going to talk about the appropriately themed Vader's Castle series. But first, let's go around the room and say hi to everybody. And we'll start where we always do with Emma. You and I were off last week, and we are back this week. How are you feeling this week?
Doing well, thank you. Hey, everybody. Missed you guys last week, but we had Jared holding down the fort, and it was such an awesome episode. Learned some great stuff about Jan Duursema. What an amazing career she's had in Star Wars. Holy smokes. I didn't even know. I mean, I knew that she designed or had a hand in designing Ayla Secura and Quinlan Voss, but there were some Sith characters I didn't know about. Yeah, it was really cool stuff. I highly recommend watching if you didn't.
Yeah, great episode last week. Thank you very much for Jared for filling in for us. And filling in for me last week was Caleb as our lead host last week. You did an excellent job, Mr. Lando-esque, very Lando-esque tonight. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, and it was good. I enjoyed filling in. It was a lot of fun, just kind of having a skeleton crew there. But I feel like we got a really good episode there. I'm really happy with the energy we brought. But we're going to have I think an even better night tonight. I think we're going to really get into theme, talk some spooky stories here. I'm excited, and I know any chance I have to dress up, I will take it. So let us have a great episode.
Yes, it is going to be a fun night tonight. And last is our man in black. At least it looks like it black through this orange colored visor that I have on. Jacob, how are you doing tonight, sir?
It is indeed black, so your eyes do not deceive you. But I'm doing okay. It's been a long week, but I am happy to be able to take a little time to relax and talk about comic books with my friends here. So let's do it.
Yes, tonight is going to be a fun episode, and if you are joining us for the very first time, welcome. We are a Star Wars comics podcast that broadcasts live right here on youtube.com/Utini every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And if you can't join us live, that's okay. Our videos are available whenever you have the chance to watch them, and we are also available on all of your favorite podcasting platforms. We are a part of the Utini podcast network of nearly a dozen shows and a Discord channel at utini.com/Discord with more than 1,000 members with dozens of channels to choose from. If you like what you see and you want to say thanks, then head over to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/Utini, where for as little as $5 a month, you can gain exclusive access to the entire Utini podcast network of shows, as well as exclusive merch and community involvement activities. And like I said at the top of the show, we are going to go in and talk about Vader's Castle tonight. But before we do, we will go ahead and get into our weekly pull list. And Jacob, it seems like War of the Bounty Hunter starting to come to an end here with what we have this week. So what is in our local comic stores this week?
All right, so we just have, like you said, War of the Bounty Hunters is almost done, and we have a few issues to help wrap that up. First off, we have Darth Vader number 17. Just Rewards, written by Greg Pak, pencils by Raphael Yanko. The cover is by Aaron Cooter. The colorist is Alex Sinclair, and the letterer is Joe Caramagna. And then we also have the War of the Bounty Hunters one-shot, IG-88, Born to Kill, written by Rodney Barnes. The pencils are by Jui Villanova. The cover is by Mahmoud Asrar. The colorist is Antonio Fabella, and the letterer is Ariana Meyer. And then lastly, we have the Monster of Temple Peak number 3, Into the Layer, written by Cavan Scott, pencils by Rachel Stott, and the colorists are Vita Efremova and Nicola Riggi. So those are the 3 comic books we have out today. And of course, as always, you can get those down in the links below for YouTube if you want to pick those up on Comixology.
Yeah, those are 3 really solid issues today. Kind of sad that War of the Bounty Hunters is ending. It's felt like a pretty constant, solid, thing in my life the last few months here. But
it's been around for a while.
Yeah. It's like a nice comfort, but now it's ending. But you know what? We're moving on, and there's going to be some exciting stories coming down the pipe. I have a feeling. So Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm pretty
It's-
excited to see what's next.
Yeah, it was weird because when we started the story about this like whole show, that's was like the first big thing they announced is, hey, we're going to do this whole War of the Bounty Hunter series, and it was kind of nice to ride that hype train along with you guys. That was very rewarding. But now as it's coming to a close, well, it's not really coming to a close because part 2 of the story, Crimson Reign, is right around the horizon. So
Right.
that's, they're going to keep the train up and down, up and down. And I think we're going to have a real good time ahead of us. Now, Monster Temple Peak, that was the 3rd issue. I always forget this. There are going to be 4 or 5 of them.
It was 4.
4. Yep.
4.
There's
Okay,
4,
so
yeah.
so this is the Empire of the series.
Yes.
Kind of.
In a way.
Not that it's really a series.
Four
It
to
is a
3 is like that. That's too much math.
Exactly. So, some really good stuff here. If you haven't read the Vader comic, it's really going to tie some things together. So that one was definitely worth a read if you haven't gotten on top of that just yet.
Yeah,
That's the
and,
one
and for this
I'm
one,
most looking forward to. Yeah.
yeah, for this one, like it doesn't matter if you read IG-88 or Vader first. I feel like that's something that we like to note with these War of the Bounty Hunter things. They're not super connected at all in any way. But yeah, 2 solid stories there, and always love some more High Republic too.
Definitely.
All right, let's go ahead and get into what we're loving this week. And this week's art of the week is going to be a little bit different. Jacob, why don't you go ahead? Because this was kind of your idea. So I want to go ahead and toss it over to you so you can kind of explain what we're going to do for this segment here.
Yeah, so as always, I had a very last minute idea, so on like Sunday, like probably Sunday afternoon, I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if it's like, since this is like a Halloween-ish themed episode, if we could like do like a lazy closet cosplay thing, and then dress up as a Star Wars character kind of, and then everyone's like yes, and then Emma's like, I'm at college. I have no Star Wars clothes, and I'm like, that's very.
I'm dressed as a podcaster tonight.
That's very understandable. So we all took a crack at just grabbing whatever we have. It's a little easier for Tyler, who has a straight up pilot's helmet. But we make the best with what we got to be inspired by some Star Wars characters, and we got a little comic art to go along with it to at least show what we're trying to get at. And so yeah. Toss over to Tyler with our first costume of the night.
Yes. So I have a very loving family, loving wife and kids who decided, let's go ahead and get Dad for Father's Day a nice little Black Series Wedge Antilles helmet. So, and go along with my Squadrons t-shirt here, I decided to dress up as, whether it's Wedge Antilles, whether it's a Rebel pilot, take your pick. That is my choice for the night. And it just gives me an excuse to actually wear the helmet, because I do actually wear this helmet from time to time when I'm sitting on calls at work and my camera's not on, because it's really cool to have a Star Wars helmet that I can wear. It actually plays sounds in the background. You guys can't hear it tonight, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. So any excuse I have to wear this helmet, I will take full advantage of that. So Caleb, let's go ahead and toss it over to you. And what art do we have for you this week?
From my favorite series and my favorite character, it's got to be the Lando cape. My wife put way too much effort into this right now, so I'm going, like your helmet, any chance I have, I will be wearing this. It's a lot of fun. I really like this cape, and I got, there was that scene in Solo where he's, just had like the tie hanging over across his neck. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother tying this yet. So yeah, I decided Lando is the best dressed of all Star Wars characters. Yeah, I think he's the best dressed Star Wars character, full stop. So I'm going to ride his coattails, as it were, our cape tails, and continue in that tradition.
That's right, ladies.
And Caleb, you're always the best dressed podcast host, so I feel like they go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. The choice of tie that's not laziness. That's fashion, ladies and gentlemen. So take notes.
Yes, sir.
Speaking
All
of
right,
fashion,
Jacob, what are who are you dressed up as tonight?
Mine's a little bit more scuffed, but we're going emo Kylo from The Rise of Kylo Ren, with art from Will Sliney. I got my black shirt, my black jacket. It's all very hard to see right now because all black on black on black, and then these 2 black belts to make his little like holster thing. It's fine. It works. Yeah. It's a little warm in my room right now between this and the computer. But yeah,
Now-
that's what we're doing tonight.
Just to say, I don't think he's wearing enough guy liner for him to be truly emo.
true.
I think he's more just like a biker Rin.
I'm punk.
Biker.
Punk Kylo.
Solid.
So those were our kind of picks of the week, but we do also have a community submission, and this one for our back-to-back winners is from Moonflyer/Dave. This is actually from Tales of Vader's Castle #2 by Francesco Francavilla. This one was kind of at the end of the issue where it shows Vader's Death Troopers storming out of the castle to attack our would-be heroes as they try to escape from Mustafar. This is a really fun, dynamic page. You know, like the stakes in these adventures usually seem a little lower, but like when you see Death Troopers coming out and just like pew-pewing away, it's you know that the stakes are now in a different strata. They've definitely been raised. So a really good pick, a very apropos pick, because we're going to be diving really deep into these comics here. So if you think you have a good pick for next week and want to try to see what we have coming, hit us up on Discord, get us on our Twitter DMs, and we'll make sure we get, if you got the best art, submitted and accredited next week.
Yes. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk briefly about what we're reading. And the only reason that I'm going to go ahead and lead this off because I've been slacking recently. Even though I host a weekly comics podcast, I don't think I picked up a comic book in probably about 3 weeks. I continued to build up my stack, and one day I was going to get around to reading them, and that day was Monday. At about 11:30, yes, that is in the middle of the workday, I decided to go ahead and read 40 comic books in the last 3 days to get caught up. I read all the Vader's Castle trade paperbacks. I read Son of Dathomir. I read the three trade paperbacks for Star Wars 2015. I read all of the outstanding issues for War of the Bounty Hunters. I've done a lot of comics reading, and I'm very proud of it, and I wanted to mention it. So that's why we went ahead and extended this segment out a little bit. Because it's been a little bit since I was able to read a little bit. Emma, you said you've also got a little bit of notoriety here. You said you've also read all of the Vader's Castle series.
Yeah, I read all 3 series. Now, like, I can't believe that it has taken me so long to read at least the original 2 series. I mean, they were so good, and I know we're going to talk about it later. I really enjoyed it. It didn't feel, like slow going at all. It was awesome. And then obviously I read the 3 new issues today. And I've also been working on reading Ronin, which admittedly, I have not been hugely high on.
I've heard it
as of right now.
I've heard it's difficult. Our Discord channel has said it is a difficult read.
Yes, it is a little hard to get into. However, I think I'm around 150 pages in now, and it's starting to take a turn, so for the better. So if you're like me and you're kind of struggling through the beginning here, give it a chance, and you might find something good in it. Yeah, I'm really starting to enjoy it, starting to pick up, so that's always a good thing.
Awesome. Caleb, you've got something right over here listed as well.
Last week I mentioned it was apropos because I was reading Dark Disciple, the new canon story of Quinlan Voss and Asajj Ventress. I did finish it off literally on my lunch break today, and that was really good. For those who don't know or don't remember, it was actually like slated to be several episodes of the Clone Wars before they canceled it the first time. And I will freely admit, if they had made these into actual episodes, I think they would have been better than some of what we had in season 7. Like the emotional moments and payoff that were in that book were so raw and emotive. Like, it was amazing. I'm very disappointed we didn't see that in animation, but we have it in a great book / audiobook, so definitely worth reading that one.
Yeah, 100% agree. Dark Disciple was great. Seeing it, being able to read it, I think added the emotion that I'm hoping that we would have been able to get, like you said, in an episode. But yeah, there's not, can't say anything bad about that book. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's one of those books that you can point at and it truly illustrates what is really great about Star Wars books, which is that it adds so much more to things that you could potentially see on screen or have seen on screen, because you get so much more insight into what the characters are thinking and feeling. And I think that, that's a great example of a book that truly expounds on the greatness of character writing.
Absolutely. And, if you're like, I know we like to tout Lost Stars as an easy entry point into reading the expanded universe, but I think Dark Disciple might be a better one, because if you just watched all of the Clone Wars and you want some more of that, that's a very easy stepping into point, because it continues with like the same style, the same kind of action. So I think that might be, for some people, maybe an easier entry point into like the deeper side of what Star Wars fiction can be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, you've got some familiar characters if you've watched the Clone Wars, and it kind of helps to ground you in this new big old expanded universe.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. But before we do, I do want to take a moment to remind you to go ahead and like this video, and because we definitely go ahead and need all those analytics that we that YouTube provides to us. So if you appreciate all of our costumes, let us know in the comments which costume's the best. Obviously, it's Caleb and Lando, but in the event that you think, we'd love to hear what you think. But let's go ahead and take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk about Vader's castle.
Like, we see a Jedi Knight, Obi-Wan, jousting with a villain made out of bubble gum.
Where did he get bubble gum on such short notice?
Bubble gum.
Dengar and Boba Fett have such a fun bromance in Legends, which is cool. Yeah. They're more of a rivalry in canon, but because Dengar's a little derpier in canon. In Legends, they are such a fun pair because Dengar saves him from Starlight.
It is kind of heavy with her and her dad's relationship, and they're trying to figure it out, but then they're killing a guy in the bathroom, so it's okay.
I want to have something matching. We look like freaking 3D glasses up here, but
All right, we are back, and tonight we are talking about the Vader's Castle series. Well, I guess it's more than a series. So it's a continuing arc for IDW. It is published by IDW and written by Cavan Scott, with art from Francesco Francavilla. And every issue, each issue, like most of the adventure series, features two stories. In this case, it frames a story, and then it's a tale being told within the narrative itself. Usually, a bit of a spooky story, a bit of a Halloween theme. And there are three main arcs to this title. There is Tales from Vader's Castle from 2018. Trying to make sure I see that one. That is a trade paperback right there. It is the first of the series. The frame of the story is Lena Graff and her companions crash land on Mustafar, and they kind of tell a little bit about their escapades there. The second one is Return to Vader's Castle from 2019, and this involves the escape of one of the members from the castle. The third one is Shadow of Vader's Castle from 2020. Is a short single issue giving the backstory of one of the characters that we see in the book. His name is Vanny. Vanny, is that how we pronounce that?
Vane.
Vane.
There's there's an accent I couldn't copy over.
Gotcha. Okay. And then last, hopefully not last, but most recent, is Ghosts of Vader's Castle, and that came out this year. And it is a disturbing dreams bringing the party back to where it all began, at that empty castle on Mustafar. Caleb, I'm gonna go ahead and toss to you, and I want to toss it around the room. I'm gonna toss to you. What just general thoughts on this little these little mini series?
Like Scooby-Doo, you can from your first look, you're like, oh, this is for children. But the moment you like really get into it and read it, you're like, oh, this is for everyone. This is really good. Like there's a lot of different versions and a lot of different tales that they're telling. So if there's one type that you don't like or an art form that you're not a huge fan of, it's really good. Like I remember reading the very first one almost on a whim when we were talking about like I think the Vader retrospective, and I read all of Tales from Vader's Castle, and like towards the last episode, I was like, wow, I'm getting really emotional reading this, because like this is an amazing bit of like, you know, foretelling and fiction and bringing everything together. Like I'm a sucker for these sorts of stories. So like the fact that these keep coming back, I am extremely excited for. I think this is a really great place for like fun, like off canon sort of stories, people to get to flex their artwork and their, you know, kind of the more creepy sides of the thing. This is, I think, some of the like best like children's like, you know, Star Wars media I've seen yet.
Yeah. Emma, what are your thoughts on these stories?
Yeah, I was amazingly surprised at how much I loved these. Of course, you know, Star Wars Adventures has always given me a good surprise as well, in how much I enjoy them. So I don't know why I expected anything different here. And of course, it's Cavan Scott, and I love anything that man writes. Like he could write a single sentence, I would love it. Yeah, I loved the original characters. You know, sometimes my only thing with the you know, sort of adventures IDW stuff is that the sort of connective tissue, the stories that are within the stories with the original characters sometimes feel a little bit like they drag on a little old. But these original characters with Lena and you know, there's like a cute creature type of thing that kind of curled up into a ball and it was scared. I love that. And the guy that looked like I don't know, the prospector guy from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Hud,
Hud, yeah.
Tom
Hud, yeah.
Tom Hood.
He was so these original characters were really, really good. Sometimes I get a little worried when I see that we're doing like a story within a story thing, because I'm worried that I'm not going to care about our original characters as much as the characters that we know about, but that was quite the opposite here. And the other thing, I think that this was a High Republic teaser before we even knew it, and here's why. 2018 was when this came out, and one of the original characters' names is Lena Graf. Okay, we have Lena So, Chancellor of the High Republic, and we have the Graf family in Out of the Shadows. Put the two together, what do you have?
Okay.
Lena Graf. Bam.
Okay.
Yeah, well, so the Graf family is in like the Adventures line as a whole. I forget which Graf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the because like all the like Tales from Wild Space is like they're all told by like one of the Graf, like
because it's the same
Lena's
droid.
it's Lena's
Vader.
brother. Yeah, I can't remember his name. But in Star Wars Adventures number 30, he that's the first. It's also written by Cavan Scott, of course, because what isn't? It is the first visual representation of the High Republic. He tells about like the age of the High Republic on the planet that he's visiting. Like it flashes back and shows like this ancient library and stuff like that. So it's like the first time we saw the High Republic age in a visual medium. So yeah, no. I think the Lena could be a stretch, but in general, yeah, definitely 100%.
I always love to just try to find like very early hints of the High Republic, because you know that they were dropping tiny little clues before we could even know what was what. So yeah, overall, really enjoyed all three of these. I think like each sort of mini series, I guess you could call them, they each got better as we went along. Like the first one was good, the second one was great, the third one I thought was amazing. So really good stuff all around.
Jacob, toss it over to you. What are your thoughts on these?
Yeah, no, echoing everything that everyone's already said, I think one of my favorite parts about this is just how different the art is. Francavilla like is just kind of just because it's not like your traditional Star Wars story. It's your horror-esque story, I feel like he gets a little more license to do what he wants, and it's a little bit more stylized, which, it's similar to, I think, to Dark Empire in a way, where if you let an artist kind of just do what they want and don't like make them just do photorealistic Star Wars, I think it can go in cool and interesting places. And I would say, yeah, definitely happened here. I really like his art, and it's great to have it's not a 100% him doing the art on every issue. He's involved in every issue. He just doesn't do all the panels. But to have like a unified creative team across all this, I think it's pretty cool. So I'm glad to see the fact that duo has been able to stick together over the past 3 years for all these different series. It's similar to, in a way, to the Galaxy's Edge and now the Halcyon Legacy, where they're both they're not like completely related, but they are somewhat thematically related, and you having the same artist and writer team across the two. So hopefully that also spells well for that series as well.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm gonna echo what everybody says. I love these. I thought they were adorable. The fact that they told stories and they were all Halloween spooky themed, I think was great. I think the concept of return is a little loose. I mean, you've got this Sith, whatever he is, torturing somebody, and he's like, "Oh, in the middle of torturing you, let me tell you a story." It's whatever. Well, I thought the stories were great. I loved them. I think this was Jacob. You hit the nail on the head. The art is great. It's bright. It's colorful. It's animated. Yeah, it just nothing but good things to say about these things.
Yeah, the art is it's a little heavier on the inks than what you'd be used to seeing, and I think that's adds to that stylistic interpretation, which I really enjoy.
Absolutely. So now that we've kind of laid the overview, I thought it'd be fun to take a moment and we'll go around the room maybe once, maybe twice, and talk about some of our favorite issues that came up. So everyone, we read through most of these series and we decided, what, let's talk about a couple of our favorite ones. So I'll go ahead and start us out and go ahead and put that one up there. Yeah, this one is from the most recent series, Ghosts of Vader's Castle, issue number 2, Attack of the 50-Foot Wookiee. This is, as you can clearly tell, this is definitely Cavan Scott's influence, because look, front and center is Jackson, our favorite meat-eating green rabbitoid. This one is a kind of a fun, scary story. The framing device is, everyone is having these terrible nightmares, so these stories go even more in like the fantastic and wild sense. So Jackson is retelling his nightmare as he's trying to escape from the great planet of Kashyyyk with a load of berries. Unfortunately, just as he was about to leave, he met the most horrifying sight of all, Han Solo with Chewbacca in tow. They decided to take the instead of going through the unit there, they decided to instead of taking a kind of a time to skip and jump from place to place, he decided to escape from the planet during the the Bounty Festival, kind of their harvest Halloween festival, and in doing so, he angered the Wookiee spirits. So unfortunately, that means that that Chewbacca was empowered by the things. So Chewbacca becomes significantly larger than a 50-foot Wookiee. He's like a 50-meter Wookiee and tears apart the ship as and then goes on a rampage throughout the treetops. After that, in order to stop Chewbacca from destroying the planet, they decided to feed Jackson the same magical goop, and now we have a giant Godzilla fight between Jackson and Chewbacca. It's wacky. It's wild.
It's hilarious.
I love it a lot.
Yeah, I had this one as my favorite, and there were just so many things that I loved about this one. It stood out to me out of all of them. I love Jackson. I love the way Cavan writes Jackson. But first of all, I mean, this issue, you open it up and we start out with Leia and Mon Mothma. That's pretty, that gets a tick in the first box from me. So I love how Leia's like, you know what, if you need to do this crazy mission, I know the right guy. And I was like, okay, we're definitely going somewhere, you know, where Han Solo is. And then all of a sudden we see Jackson, and I'm like, oh my goodness, that is hilarious. And then of course, you know, we have a little bit of a reference here from Han when Chewbacca is like gigantic and, you know, grabbing the rabbit's foot. Han says, and I quote, "That's no monster, that's Chewie." This made me laugh out loud quite a bit. That is a good reference to That's No Moon. It's a space station. So yeah, very good. And then I also wanted to point out something to you guys. Is there a brand new Star Wars curse introduced in this issue? Because Jackson says, "Holy Hutch." And I don't think I've ever heard that before. Have you guys heard that before?
No, that's new to me.
I think that was from the 77 comic, because if you look at a couple of Jackson's like specific poses, like when he's kicking Chewbacca, that I think they almost like copy and pasted his posing from when we're first introduced to him in the 77 run, issue 8 or 9 or whenever he showed up. And Holy Hutch sounds like the sort of like joke you would make as you're writing a rabbit character. So I think it's more of a Le Pew sort of swear.
Yeah, I found it, of course. Yeah, it's from 77. In issues 10 and 16, it was an exclamation used by the Leppy smuggler Jackson. It's apparently a reference to a sacred home of the species, which was mentioned during his attack against the behemoth from the world below. He mentioned the heavenly hutches. Yeah, all right. You know, I'm sure Cavan Scott read that when he was like 6, and
yeah, leave it to Cavan Scott to do like one of the biggest Jackson themed deep cuts and put it in Ghost from Vader's Castle. Bravo, sir. That was very good. I had a feeling that it was some sort of a callback, but I honestly couldn't remember. So here is Cavan Scott. He brought Jackson back into canon earlier in Star Wars Adventures, and now he's brought in a new canon swear word. So we better hear that instead of constant dank Ferrix in The Mandalorian. I better start hearing Holy Hutch.
Oh Lord, I just imagine if they introduced a Lepu, I don't know how many people would freak out if that happened in The Mandalorian.
I don't know how well the Lepu are going to translate into live action, man. Like, can you imagine how just disturbing that would be?
I'm getting flashbacks to Space Jam with Bugs Bunny and
yeah.
and Michael Jordan. So maybe something like that.
That's great. Yeah, this was I think just the most fun issue, because it was just so, I mean, they're all bizarre and wild in their own ways, but this one had that special Cavan Scott flavor, and I liked it.
Totally.
All right, Tyler.
All right,
you got one, right?
Yeah, I've got one. My first pick is from the original Tales from Vader's Castle. I don't think they were titled, so this is just issue 4, and it basically has an evil shaman Ewok who has decided to trick everybody in his village to be a sacrifice to a larger animal, a larger predator, I mean, this one, the art for this one was a lot different. It was a lot more rough around the edges. A lot more the penmanship and the colors were not as tight as a lot of the art that we've seen already. So it was a lot more artistically done. I really like the art. And then when you really think about it, like other than their cute exterior, Ewoks are pretty frightening.
I mean, they're called murder bears for a reason.
Yeah. So I mean, to really see the Ewoks in their true light was a little scary for me reading that first one. But yeah, that was my pick. Just because, like I said, it's you don't often see the non-cute yub-nub side of Ewoks. This is the evil, I'm going to sacrifice everybody, all the women and children too, of my clan, to satisfy an evil prophecy, and it was very disturbing.
I mean, we have to remember that the Ewoks were going to eat the rebels in Return of the Jedi before C-3PO floated.
So about this issue, actually, so the monster, this is more great Cavan Scott callbacks here. So this is the Ewok Adventures movie from the Gorax, the big monster. And then we also have from the Ewoks cartoon. What are they called? The Grinch people.
The Duloc camp.
The Dulocs. The Dulocs.
Duloc camp.
We also have Dulocs in this issue as well. So we have 2 more deep cuts from Sir Cavan Scott.
Some Dulocs right there, I believe. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, like if you've never seen a Duloc before, or you're listening to the show and you can't see what Tyler's holding up, just picture animated Grinch. That's all you got to do. That's what they look like.
Is this
maybe a little gremlin-ish, little gremlin-ish there too. But yeah.
Is this an episode of Star Wars Explained, or not Star Wars Explained, Star Wars Archives now? Is this what we're doing?
I mean, I'm trying to channel Trev as best as I can here. And honestly, like I didn't look that up before or anything like that. It just sticks out in your mind when you watch those movies. I mean, you got the Gorax, you've got the, I mean, how can you forget the animated Ewok show? You can't, it's impossible.
Totally. Yeah, no,
this was lots of fun. Lots of fun.
Oh, speaking of Ewoks and Trev, should we mention what happened to him this past week?
Oh, this is a good segue.
By all means, go for it.
Okay. So Trev lives in Wales, and they're doing some shooting for what's it called?
Willow.
Yeah, that's like the one like Lucasfilm like esque thing. I feel like I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I don't either, actually.
I know it's before my time. That's about all I know.
It's 80s fantasy in all of its good and bad ways. It's been like 10 plus years since I've seen it. I still think it kind of holds up a little bit well. But again, I haven't seen it in 10 years. I remember watching it and having a good time with it.
Same here. It was a favorite. I don't know why. It was a favorite old adult-ish movie for me as an 8 or 9-year-old, because it was realistic and scary and dark, and there was lots of blood. At least that's what 8-year-old me remembers.
Yeah. So anyways, they're doing some filming for this. I think it's a new Disney Plus thing that's going on. And he met Warwick Davis like very briefly, and Mr. Wicket himself, and got him to sign of all the Trev things, he got him to sign a probably early 1980s or mid 1980s Return of the Jedi Ewoks kids book, like a little like square kids book.
Yeah, a little picture book.
And I asked him why. I was like, why of all, like, I'm just like, I know you love Ewoks. I know you probably have like 20 Ewok things he could have signed. Why that one? He's like, well, it fit in my pocket. So I'm like, you know what? I respect that.
I imagine Trev is like carrying it around in his pocket like until the day he dies. Like, it's like his most treasured item now, I'm sure. So yeah, it was amazing to hear about that. He seems like such a nice guy.
Totally. So yeah, just had to do a quick little aside because Trev's definitely living his dream out right there. So, but all right, who wants to take their favorite issue next?
That's you.
It is me. Okay. So did Emma go? Did I skip Emma?
No, I already went.
I think I kind of skipped Emma.
All right,
like, well, our two favorites coincided. So
all right, cool. Anyways, so mine is, I'm gonna be honest, I did not. It's been a rough week at school, so I did not have time to reread these. But this is one that definitely stuck out in my mind from when I first read it, and that is the Count Dooku, Prince of Darkness from Tales of Vader Castle, issue number 2. This is just like a very fun, like Dracula, like Van Helsing style story with vampires.
This is a good one.
And werewolves and Obi-Wan and Count Dooku. It's just like, I think this was the first issue, like, cause it's the second issue in the whole like series, like from when they were released, and I think this is the first one I was like, wow, okay, this is like, I did not know what I was getting into, and like had to like take a second to like kind of like get my mind in the right mindset, and I'm like, okay, like I'm definitely down for this. But it's a little more out there, but in a very fun way. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of oh god, what's the crossover from with the Screaming Citadel.
Screaming Citadel, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could see that, yeah.
the other canon like a vampire werewolf story. So yeah, no, this one was fun. I enjoyed it.
And if any Star Wars character can be Dracula, it's definitely anybody Christopher Lee plays.
Well,
so.
remember,
100%.
I just had to quickly look this up. Christopher Lee did play Count Dracula in
Yes, he
the
did.
1958 version. So he,
Oh
like,
my god!
And then, fun fact: this is like we really are doing the archives here. You know who played his opposite, Dr. Van Helsing?
Oh, was it
was it Peter Cushing?
It was Peter Cushing.
Yes,
That's
that's
amazing.
right.
Was he also
Trevor would be proud of us tonight.
Yeah.
He would.
People forget that Peter Cushing was like the big like A-list actor that they had for Star Wars.
Yeah,
you know, the first one. You know, him and Alec Guinness.
Yeah, Alec Guinness. Was he also wearing pink slippers in Dracula in the 1950s?
I said probably not. I think he might, but I think his feet were a little more comfortable back then. But like, I wouldn't be. Like, it's just kind of fun seeing these like crossovers here. In this, Vader's Castle one, Ewan McGregor's playing essentially the Helsing here, trying to stop the vampire demon zombie horde here. This is definitely one of the ones that like stuck out a lot of like how far they're willing to like push like the scary angle here, because they have like you get bitten by these things and now you turn into one. It's like, oh, that's horrifying.
Well, and it was nice. They leaned totally into it and it worked. You don't want to, you get worried about these I mean, IDW it feels like it gets a little bit more leniency, but you always wonder how much they're going to allow the property to go into those sorts of things and go off on a tangent as much as it does. And this book and this issue was so much fun, and the art was amazing, and like it was just this hodgepodge of Star Wars and horror stuff, and it worked it worked amazingly.
Yeah, it's better instead of trying to like hide the fact that you're trying to like go for a Dracula vibe. Like just go out and do it, and they did it, and it was great.
You gotta go full, like you just gotta go 100, like full stop, just full send, just do it, and I think it worked out pretty well. It's a fun, different story, but very enjoyable.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I think we got a couple more, right?
Yeah, we got a second round here. So I'll take it. Let me get my notes back in front of me. I was doing a Wikipedia dive because just brief aside, they also Cushing and Christopher Lee did another like thing as the Mummy, where Lee was playing at the Mummy and Christopher Lee and Cushing was his opposite, trying to hunt down the Mummy. So they did it. That worked so well in Dracula. They did it again.
That's incredible.
All right. Which one would I pick? Oh yes. This one was from Return, the second series, number 4, Vault of the Living Brain.
I love these titles. They're just,
dude,
they're so much fun.
Like the artwork is probably like the most like happy of like all the ones. It's got some really nice like watercolor there, but like at the end, it's the most horrifying thing because it tells the story of Jabba's cousin Kroka as she tries to win her way back into Jabba's favor after 40 years of apart. But the secret is that, in Jabba's palace, you see the little spider droids running around with the brains. Those are the, what did I write that down? The Bomar monks.
Yes, thank you.
And they've decided to do the ultimate aesthetic sort of thing and remove themselves from their body so that they can fully focus their mind on, eternity and, going beyond. But Kroka the Hutt realizes and has found out that years and years and years ago, a thief broke into the Jedi archives and stole thousands of valuable and priceless artworks and hid them away. But before the Jedi could find him, he put his brain into the Baron Door, the Barmore monks, and hid this brain away so that eventually he could be reclaimed and find his treasure. And at the end of the story, the Hutt's treachery is found out through the work of the Kwakian monkey lizard. I see you in Jared. So, and then she is brought to justice as her own brain is extracted and put among the monks. And that's just like the most horrifying thing possible. Just having your your body removed from your brain and now to live for an eternity in a fishbowl.
But at the same time, that's totally up Jabba's alley. Why did we not think that he would do that prior to like, I had never thought about him actually doing this until I read this, and I was like, that's so horrifying, but it fits Jabba so well.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I mean, this is yet another example of why these comics are so much fun, because now I look at those little spider guys in the background of Jabba's palace so much differently. Like, I feel so bad for them. Oh my goodness. I mean, at the same time, it was their choice, but it's creepy. This one kind of grossed me out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, thinking about just like a brain in a jar attached to some spider legs. That's like kind of nightmare material right there. So it was perfect topic for one of these issues.
Absolutely.
So are there not enough spider bodies to house every single brain? Like I'm imagining now this vault just summoning these spider. Like, nope, you know what? Now it's time for me to take a walk. And now you've had your turn. Now it's my turn. I'm going to jump down into the spider and just take a walk. And it's just, I have so many questions now.
It's like prison. Like you only get a certain amount of outdoor time.
Right.
You only get a certain amount of walking time.
Like, I don't know if like in the old like legend sort of things, like it was their monastery. They built that thing and like put themselves in brains. It wasn't until years later that Jabba came by and saw it and finally decided, you know what? I like this place. I'm going to move in. But because they're so detached from reality, the monks did not care at all. As long as they were like left alone in their like brain jars, like they do not care that a crime boss has come in and is doing the most unspeakable horrors, like literally right above their brain lobes.
Wow, that's quite a sentence that I don't even know how to react to that.
This is what happens when you get a Halloween themed episode.
Exactly. I love it though. It's weird, but I love it.
Caleb's currently on a sugar high from like downing 10 Snickers before the episode.
Okay, listen. This is a really aside. My wife and I were at Walmart yesterday, and we were getting candy because we live in like townhouses, so we're going to have trick-or-treaters. And I just made a statement that we're not a miniature candy family. We're not giving out the little minis. We're not the big bars yet.
Okay,
but we're getting like
fun
normal
size
sort of things, and we had to do some quality assurance to make sure that we're giving good candy out.
I mean, that's you're really just looking out for all the kids out there. That's
You really are.
Yeah, it's a selfless act there.
Absolutely.
I'm a candy
I
saint.
definitely didn't get into the Halloween candy before this either. Like, definitely not.
No.
I didn't buy a whole bag for myself. No.
I
don't know what you're talking about.
You'll see me at Kroger on November 1st checking out that clearance aisle.
70% off. Yes, please.
So I'm here.
Yeah.
I mean, hey,
I do want to talk about. I don't want to talk about my second favorite one, because this was also fit the character so well. This is from Return, number 2. This is the Curse of Tarkin, because I didn't think Tarkin could get any more. Every single time we get a new Tarkin story, he gets more intimidating, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
And again, outside of Palpatine himself, who else would be the Star Wars universe's Dr. Frankenstein besides Tarkin? And that's what the story is about. Like, he has basically taken these random body parts. For the head was almost a Deveronian. It had wings. Did it have a tail?
I mean, I would just say, like, who else besides Tarkin? Dr. Evazan, whatever. How do you pronounce his name?
Yeah, Dr. Evazan. Yeah.
We haven't really gotten too much.
He kind of does literally do that.
That's true. And he creates this Frankenstein's monster that is trying to take him out, and is released on the Star Destroyer. And Tarkin, being the ruthless, what that he is, decides to escape on a shuttle, and dooms the rest of the ship and attempts to blow up the rest of the ship, because of course Tarkin would want to blow up the rest of the ship. And luckily this Frankenstein's monster has a heart of gold and is like, I came here to stop Tarkin from ruining any more lives, and I'm gonna do that. And so Tarkin shuts down the entire ship. Everybody tries to get into the escape pod, but the ship is shut down, so the escape pods don't unlatch. And because this super strong super being, he manually unclamps the escape pod and launches the escape pod away from the ship before the ship ends up blowing up, killing the monster and erasing any proof of Tarkin's abominations and machinations. And just a completely scary story about one of the scariest men in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, that was really enjoyable. There's something with like Tarkin and like weird monsters. Wasn't he involved, like, or wasn't there this like huge monster on his home planet and like they had to hunt it down?
The Virmooks, I think they're called.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Tarkin is a hunter.
Well, then
yes, he is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then he also's got the Tarkin Initiative, which is just like all of the weird sciencey stuff that the Empire experiments with. So it makes sense that he's secretly creating like monstrous things in the background.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah,
I
for
have
sure.
2 quick points. One, since we're going back to it, Peter Cushing played Dr. Frankenstein 6 times.
Oh my goodness.
6 times throughout his career. So he is absolutely the sort of person you want to be Dr. Frankenstein in the Star Wars universe. Like, Tarkin is precisely the person you are. The other thing I want to bring up, and I love this trope being a thing, I want to see more of it, is like after the creature like frees the escape pod and sends like the captain and the crew to safety. The next scene you see them is they joined up with the rebellion. And there's like
yeah, that's true.
And there's a trope in the Lando series where like after the Star Destroyer captain loses his like the Emperor ship, he's like, well, I'm going to kill myself. I hear the rebellion's hiring. Like, I'm just gonna like, I just love the trope of like I wonder how many Imperial soldiers like joined a rebellion just because like, well, I made one mistake and it's either I get killed by Vader or I join up and run away as quickly as I can.
It's either join or die.
Exactly.
I mean, you got Magna Tolvin. I mean, Afra wasn't an Imperial soldier, but kind of same story. That's all I can think of off the top of my head.
It's almost like Vader's kind of helping the rebellion's recruitment numbers in a way.
He's like, it's like working for a company that's like so awful that like their turnover rate is super high. That's the Empire. It's like, man, this place sucks so much. I need a new job.
The Empire's like the Walmart of minimum wage jobs.
Or,
this is speaking as a former Walmart.
No,
I have to say.
I feel like it's more Amazon, just like with the sheer scale and the fact that Amazon is like projected to like their retention rate's so bad they will go through the U.S. workforce in like a insignificant amount of years. It's like that's the Empire.
So what you're saying is Jeff Bezos is this world's equivalent of Emperor Palpatine?
I mean, it
writes itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like that comparison.
He is obsessed with space.
Yeah, he has his own spaceship. So I don't know.
It's uncanny.
All right,
it's uncanny.
getting us back on track.
Star Wars.
I think we've got one more.
Yeah, I have one. It's actually the very first issue from Tales from Vader's Castle. I absolutely love this one. What does the subtitle say there? Ghost something?
A ghost in the machine, I think. Oh, I think it just says a ghost story.
Yeah, that one of those covers just a ghost story.
So yeah, this one is it focuses on Hera, Kanan, and Chopper. And basically they find a crashed ship and they go to investigate. And then all of a sudden they get sort of haunted, I guess, by some sort of a ghost, which it's not, the irony should not be lost on anyone that they get haunted by a ghost on the
ghost.
The ship.
Oh
the
my
ghost,
God.
With the. Did he just realize that? Man?
It's okay. Well,
it's pretty good stuff. So, of course, hijinks and shenanigans ensue, and finally, and this is one of like the coolest sort of ideas I've seen in these comics. Kanan traps like the spirit inside a Jedi holocron. It's so cool. It's like a spirit prison. It was
Right.
such a cool idea. So yeah, I really love this one. A lot of good chopper stuff. And of course, I always love more hair content. And yeah, this issue is kind of a big pun, and I really enjoy puns, so I was here for it.
Do we want to talk about like the fan theory of what this ghost is? Or do you
I
guys
don't know
know?
of any
Sure,
fan
because I've never
theories.
heard this fan theory.
Okay.
so
Sure.
I
Yes.
haven't either.
Like
I
so
could have sworn
time
we talked about it last time just came up, but yeah.
So timeline wise, it makes like very little sense. But the theory is that it's Rur from Afra, because I mean it's a green ghost.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
yes,
Okay.
that
I
sounds
remember hearing
familiar,
this.
yeah.
takes
Yep.
control of technology. Like, you know, obviously, the whole like, you know, Kanan is dead before we find Afra, or before Afra finds Rur after New Hope. But it would be fun. Like, I don't know, maybe there's maybe there's another copy of him lying around somewhere. He's a file, so you know, whatever.
Copy pasted himself.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
it's like that doctor from the friggin' Captain America movies. You know, the Nazi guy.
God.
Oh,
I know who you're talking about. The Hydra
Yeah.
dude in the like
Yeah, the
analog
Hydra
computer.
Yeah.
Not Baron Zemo.
No.
Helmut?
Oh, it's gonna bother me now.
It's
No.
gonna bother me too. Yes.
Okay. Well,
I will
anyways,
look it up.
We're moving on. We're but yeah, that's the theory. Although I will say I don't like, my theory is that the Star Wars universe doesn't have the technology for copying files, making copies of files, because like, why are we so obsessed with like the one Death Star file? Like
Arnim Zola.
Arnim Zola.
Zola.
Zola, that's what it was.
Yeah, I personally do not believe you can copy files in Star Wars. I'm just throwing it out there.
What? Of
Yeah,
course
well,
you can. You can
the
copy
Death
the Death
Star-
Star files.
Right?
They
Yeah,
no,
they
they
did it
they
once.
stole it. They stole it. They're like, we took the plans, and then we, instead of like, if you could copy files, like I would just like, you know, give out like 10 copies to everyone. Instead, they're like, we have the one. This is it. Like, we can't lose this one USB stick.
Well, I think they
To make a
uploaded it to the
point-
ship, but like instead of like downloading it to the thing, I'd just be like, and copy and paste and email everyone
Yeah,
in,
everyone
CC
at the
Everyone in the
rebellion.
galaxy.
at
Reply all.
rebellion.gmail.
Yeah,
Copy everyone.
rebellion.list.
That would have made things easier, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's possible. I'm sticking to that. You can only
Yeah.
have one. You can only have one copy of a file in Star Wars.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory, though. Like, I think that would be some cool connective tissue. I mean,
I'm sure.
of course, it's kind of, it's like, it's common to show ghosts and other spirits as like a green color, but I mean, kyber crystals, you know, the crystal that Rur was stored in, like, it didn't have to be green.
It did not. No.
So that's all I'm saying.
I wonder if this is an artistic choice because of how the green looks on paper.
It probably is, but
True.
like, let's
It
just.
probably is.
Yeah.
But we're Star Wars fans. We have to overanalyze.
That's true.
Everything.
We have to have we have to overanalyze and have a theory for everything. So
Yes.
that's just the way it is.
So speaking about theories and fan theories, let's talk a little bit about future theory crafting. So we kind of ended the series with was it Ghost of Air Castle? They kind of did a really solid like emotional ending to that. So do you think they'll make any more of these?
Well, let's preface this with again the rumor that IDW is losing the license, the ability to write Star Wars comics. So let's just we acknowledge that. We're gonna assume for the purpose of this conversation that is going to continue.
Yeah.
So we're aware of what is going on. Nothing has been officially, at least not from StarWars.com, that we've seen. So getting that out of the way, well, let's return to the question and say, do we think we're gonna see any more?
Honestly, I want to say yes, but I think it's a no. I think that like I feel like the execs are gonna say something like, you know, the story has run its course. How many more characters can you think of to do like horror stories with in a kid-friendly fashion? I would like to see more. I think there's plenty more opportunities. I'd love to see some stuff with some sequel trilogy characters. I think that'd be very cool.
I was gonna ask about that because I only got the first loose issue of the most recent run. So were there any sequel characters in this?
There were not.
Most recent.
There were
one?
not.
Okay.
Well,
Nope.
for one, that wouldn't make sense in the framing story because this is still pre-sequel era.
Right.
But
Well, it's in the New Republic, right? So I mean, it's pre Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it would be cool to maybe go forward in time a bit and maybe see like an older Lena and her brother. I can never remember his name, and sort of do it that way. Hopefully this newest series sold well enough to show that there's interest in it. I think it's becoming a great like fall tradition in Star Wars comics to have some new Vader's Castle thing. And the other thing I want to note too, I kind of wonder if there was some sort of coordination with the Lego people, because the recent Lego holiday special for
The Terrifying
for Halloween,
Tales.
Terrifying Tales, it centered around Vader's Castle and Vanay or whatever, however you say it. And Vader's Castle also focuses on obviously the castle, but also Vanay. So I kind of wonder if there was a little bit of coordination here. If so, I think that was very smart because they also brought in, Ren from Knights of Ren. So we've got a lot of comics ties here. I'd love to see them do something else. I have a feeling it's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. I definitely tweeted at Cavan Scott when that Lego special first got announced. I'm like, did you write this? He's like, no. Unfortunately I did not. I was like, because it's Vader's Castle, it's horror, it's Halloween. Like I feel like this is like your thing.
like you should at least get
Right
a
up
credit,
his alley.
man.
Yeah.
He did get a special thank you, I think.
Okay.
Or was that Charles? That might have been Charles Soule, or maybe
was
they
gonna say
both
with-
did.
So one of them
I bet
tweeted
they-
out seeing their name in the Star Wars blue in the credits was a very, very cool thing. I can't remember which one of them it was.
So I could see
Yeah.
Charles getting it because because he created Ren, so like
Right.
that would make sense.
For some reason, I feel like I saw both of them in there, but I could
Okay,
be wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, okay,
There was
so
definitely
in
one
the
of them.
chat, OK Endar says it was Charles Soule.
It was Charles
Right
Soule.
after that, B Nasty says it was both of them. So
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
regardless of
The
what
answer
the answer
is
is,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
A combination potentially. Yeah, no. So I would agree, Emma. I think Star Wars loves its trilogies. We have 3 like miniseries. I think it would be fun for IDW to come back and like say, let's go to Cavan Scott and Francesco and be like, hey, like we want you guys to do some horror stuff still. Like let's mix it up a little bit. So like let's take all the Vader's Castle stuff, just set it aside. Let's maybe we could do like a few miniseries set around like Exegol or something. You could do some fun things there, or
Ooh, yeah.
for your
there's
sequels,
plenty of content.
you could do a bunch of Dathomirian stories for your prequels, kind of mix
yeah.
it up a little bit. Yeah, like
That'd be so
Are there
cool.
towels in?
yeah, I'm just like imagining it. You got like there's something going on Dathomir, and then you get like the green mist and then it transitions into like the flashback story or whatever. I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I have an update on the names, by the way. Both Cavan and Charles are in the special thanks in the credits.
There you go.
Perfect. So now, just because I thought it was funny, I like making puns. I did want to ask you guys, like, we did kind of run the gambit of all like your classic horror sequel story names, like Return to Vader's Castles, Ghost of Vader's Castles, Shadow of Vader's Castles. Like, if we did get another series, what sort of names do you think you would have? I have a couple written down that I think are real winners here.
Okay, I have an idea. If we did like a Rebels themed one, like with all like Rebels centered characters, we could do like Specters of Vader's Castle. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty fun.
That'd be good. So
Night of the Living something at
Castle.
Vader's Castle.
Night of the Living Vader's Castle.
The Shining Vader's Castle.
There you go.
now I decided when I did this, I decided to take themes. So like if we because I just watched a movie, I was very interested in Dune for a bit. So I think if they did like the Dune style, we could do the Children of Vader's Castle,
Oh
or-
yeah.
or
Okay.
the God Emperor of Vader's Castle.
All right. Yeah.
Mhm.
These are Dune titles.
Exactly. If we did Microsoft style, it would just be Vader's Castle number 5. They just like go to a number then. So Vader's Castle 5.
Vader's Castle Vista.
That's the other one I wrote down. Or, since it's Microsoft, they might just skip a number and just go Vader's Castle 6. But maybe they'll just reboot it and they'll just do like the AAA thing and just be a gritty Vader's Castle.
Vader's Castle like 2022.
Yeah, Vader's Castle, and then like everyone like the 2022 one. That one.
That's
So,
hilarious.
I think that's what I would do it.
I love this suggestion from OK Endar, Night of the Living Stormtroopers, which I mean I feel like is just what's that?
Red Harvest.
Red Harvest. Yeah, Red Harvest. I think is what.
No,
it is.
not Red Harvest. Dark Trooper.
Death Troopers.
Can't see it. Death Troop.
I think
Is
it's
it?
Death
I couldn't
I
tell
think
if it
those
was
are-
Death Troopers or not.
I think those are like two of the I think they're like a duology kind of type thing, right?
I can't see
Legends
in my
people.
helmet, so
Red Harvest. And
Yeah,
Death
Red
Troopers.
Harvest and Death Troopers. I like B Nasty's suggestion in the chat here. Trials of Vader's Castle. That feels like like another good one in the succession here. I like that. Yeah, there's so many ways that they could go with it if they did decide to reboot it for sure. I think
Right.
I think whatever Cavan comes up with is certainly going to be better than what we come up with.
oh, absolutely.
Totally.
That's why that creative genius.
Yeah, he gets paid the big bucks for a reason. But yeah, we mentioned it earlier, like, Lego Star Wars Terrifying Tales, another great way to get into the Halloween spirit. But I also want to shout out to my Legends fans that are still here. I didn't forget you. We got, we love all these stories, but another that are targeted for readers of all ages, but another great all ages Star Wars horror stories are the Galaxy of Fear books, which I only have one because they're kind of hard to track down. But I read them as a kid, and I think they're another cool, they're very much like Star Wars' reaction to Goosebumps in the 90s was like, let's just do this. So, and I when I was like 7, I loved them. So shouts out. If you can find them, then more power to you. But I thought they were fun back then.
So Jared in the chat, our Legends expert, has corrected us. Death Troopers was written first, and it features Han and Chewie, whereas Red Harvest is an Old Republic prequel. For some reason, they do get put together. I haven't read Red Harvest.
Two of the only horror Star Wars books out there.
But luckily, we have a Legends expert in our audience who can always make sure that we are correct in our Legends references.
Yes, we were doing so good up until right now with all of our references and things like that.
We really tried.
We did. I think we did a pretty darn good job.
So overall, I think it goes without saying that Star Wars and Halloween they work. It fits together, at least in comic book form.
Star Wars and any holiday, really, they mesh. They go well together.
Life Day, Christmas is coming around, but I can't think that I can't say that people thought that for a while.
I think since like sequel trilogy came out,
we're
starting to find ways to connect Star Wars to literally any time in somebody's life. Springtime, we get some original trilogy vibes and things like that. and obviously in October, we got to make it spooky. So that's why we have Cavan and Francesco.
All right. Well, definitely 2 thumbs up from the Cosmic Force crew and for the Vader's Castle line. And that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Cosmic Force. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, whether it's here on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, and tune in every Wednesday at 8 p.m. right here on YouTube to hear us live. Be sure to also visit utini.com for reviews, articles, and news for the entire expanded universe. And we also encourage you to join our Utini Discord community by going to utini.com/Discord. And you can also help support the show by heading to patreon.com/Utini and start receiving exclusive perks starting at just $5 a month. A special thank you to OK Endar, Cheryl Bell, Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander, and Earl Q on our Jedi High Council, and Tyler Latour, Kyle Hickman, Elizabeth Cloutier, Jason Mitchell, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. Also, be sure to tweet at the show at Cosmic Force Show or at each of us individually. I'm at Ty Rags. Emma is at Irma Jedi 26. Caleb is at Caleb Lamanek, and Jacob is at Jacob Bosch. Thank you again to Emma, Caleb, and Jacob for hosting with me tonight. A special thank you to our listeners for joining in with us at the chat. It was a lot of fun having you here tonight. And thank you to all of our listeners wherever and whenever you are listening to us in the future. We truly appreciate you. We hope to see everybody next week, but until then, may the Force be with you.